Hello guys, in this video we're going to build a $100 PC and install macOS Ventura on it. First, let's go shopping. I found a Dell Optiplex 9020 on eBay for $45, which we're going to be using as our base. It also comes with Core i5 4th gen CPU and 16 gigs of DDR3 RAM. The CPU works with LGA 1150 motherboards, which usually supports DDR3 memory. You could even get a better deal for the same amount. Next, we get a 240 gig ARC100 SSD for about $15. And for the GPU, I got a Radeon R7 200 series GPU for $40 at a local shop. We already got 4 sticks of 4 gig RAM DDR3 that came along with the PC, but you could get it for about $4 a stick on AliExpress. We've got $2 left. Now let's start building. First, we have our CPU Intel Core i5 4th gen. Next, we have our GPU Radeon R7 200 series with both a HDMI and VGA port. We also have an ARC100 240 gig SSD, which we're going to use as our main drive. We have 4 sticks of 4 gig DDR3 RAM, which came along with our PC. This is our CPU fan, and this is a tray for our SSD, thermal paste, and screwdriver. So this is our base for our build, Dell Optiplex 9020, which has 4 USB slots at the front and about 6 USB slots at the back. Now let's open it and start building. Now you can see there is a hard disk here of about 200 gigabytes which came along with it. We are going to keep it there as our backup drive, and you can see the connector to our SSD right there. Two CD-ROM, power supply, and this is where we place our CPU. So let's open that up and then place our CPU right there. Let's lock it. Next, we apply thermal paste. Now you shouldn't put too much. I prefer just a dot. And then we mount our CPU fan. Now make sure it is tight. Next, we mount our GPU. So first, we're gonna stick that out. And now we can mount our GPU. Make sure you place it correctly and then slide it in, and we can lock that. Make sure it is tight and secure. I forgot to connect the fan to the board, so just make sure that is connected. Next, we have to mount our RAM. 4 sticks of DDR3 RAM, 4 gigabytes each. Time to connect our SSD, but first we have to mount it to the tray before we can then connect it. So here we go. Now I'm going to mount it right there in the second slot. And then the connectors. And we are done. Now we can close our PC and then run a test. We installed Windows 10 Pro. Now let's confirm if every component is detected. CPU check, RAM check, our hard disk check, SSD check, Ethernet is working, and our GPU is also checked. So everything is working. Time for performance test. We did a sine bench test and it came out with 2131 points multi-core, which is quite impressive for a $100 build, and came out with 790 points for single core. Now you can see the performance compared to other major CPU profile over here, which is quite impressive for this build. Time to install macOS Ventura Hackintosh. Now here are the requirements. First, we need at least 32 gig flash drive. If you have more than that, it should be okay. We need balenaEtcher. We need MiniTool partition wizard, we need Explorer++, we need macOS installer image file, and we also need an EFI file based on our system. Now the first thing to do is to check your hardware, your CPU, to know which EFI file you should download. So hold Ctrl+Shift Escape, and then you can click on performance. Now you can click on your CPU and you can see over here mine is Core i5 4570, CPU 3.20 GHz. Now this is a 4th generation CPU because you can see it starts from 4. So make sure you confirm your CPU and the code name associated with it, because when you want to download the EFI file, it will be needed. Now we can close this. Now these are the files we need. You can see over here. The link to each and every one of these files is provided in the video description, so you can download yourself. Now the first thing we have to do is connect our flash drive to our PC, and in my case this is my flash drive, which is about 64 gigabytes. So the first thing we have to do is to create a bootable disk, and to do that we are going to use balenaEtcher. So let's install it. Double click on it. Now you can see we have to select the image file, and from our downloaded files, this is our image file Ventura 13.2.1, which is also available in the description of this video. So we're going to click on flash from file and then select the image file. Okay, so select the image file, open. Now you can click on change, and this is where you select your USB drive. So my USB drive is selected. Click on select and now click on flash. Now this will take some time, but you just have to wait patiently. The process has been completed, so we can now close balenaEtcher. Let's open our download folder again. Now we have to open MiniTool partition. So this is MiniTool partition wizard. So double click on it to run this software. Click on run. Now we are going with the free version. So click on continue using the free version and then next. Let's turn off this. Next. Now click on finish to launch Mini Partition 2. And here we go. So if you look closely, you can see disk 3, which is our flash drive 58.98 gig, and then you can see a partition here called EFI. Now right click on this partition called EFI and then click on change letter. So assign another letter to this partition so we can easily recognize it. So I'm just going to give it X. Click on OK and then click on apply. Click on yes and we are done. Click on OK and then close So we are done with balenaEtcher and MiniTool partition. Now the next thing we have to do is to get our EFI files. So let's extract our EFI files over here. Remember, the link to these files is in the video description, so you can download each and every one of these files. And then let's extract Explorer++ as well. Right click, extract. Okay, so let's open Explorer++. And then click on Explorer++, right click, run as administrator. Now locate the drive over here, EFI X, you can see which we changed the letter. And then delete everything here, just select everything, right click and then delete. Yes. Okay. Yes. And we're done with that. Now locate the EFI folder. So let's go to our download. And then you can see this is our EFI folder. So copy the entire EFI folder right here. Copy. Let's head to our EFI X and then paste it there. Now after that we can close and we are ready to boot into macOS and begin the installation. But just before we do that, we have to create a partition where we are installing macOS. Now in my case, I have an SSD and a HDD drive which I can install macOS, but I'm going to install macOS on my SSD. Now search for disk management on your Windows PC and you're going to see create and format hard disk partitions. Click on it. So here we go. Here we can create a new partition where we will install macOS, or we can make use of our existing drive which we want to install macOS. So if you want to create a new partition and then install macOS on the partition, you can just right click on the drive and then click on shrink volume. This way you can allocate a certain amount of storage to macOS and then we can run Windows and macOS on this same drive. So this case is if you have just one drive in your PC, but if you have multiple drives in your PC, then you can just install on one drive and that would perform better. So I'm just going to install on my SSD, so I don't really need to partition it. So I'm going to extend the volume back. Now let's close this. Now we have to restart our PC and then boot into our BIOS. Hold F12 or F9 depending on your PC to boot into your setup. Now go to your BIOS setup and then scroll down to secure boot. Make sure it is disabled, so disable secure boot. Also, if RAID is on, then we have to switch from RAID to AHCI. So click on system configuration and then go to set operations and then switch to AHCI. Now we can apply these changes and then exit from our BIOS. Now let's boot again. So let's boot directly from our drive. You can see over there USB disk. Hit enter. Now hit enter to install macOS. Select your language and then continue. Now click on disk utility, continue. You can see both my SSD and my HDDs showing right there. So we are installing macOS on my SSD, which you can see over there. So click on erase and then set the name. So I'm just going to call this macOS. Now set the format to macOS extended junod and then we can erase. Okay, so we've successfully erased the drive. Now we can click on done and then close this page. Now click on install macOS Ventura, continue, agree to the terms, agree. Now select the drive which we created earlier, so you can see macOS, click on it and then continue, and it should start installing. Now this may take about an hour, but you just have to wait patiently. It may restart severally while it is installing, but you just have to wait. You don't have to do anything, just wait for it to install. So we are done with the installation. Now we just have to set up. So select your country and then continue. Not now. Continue with data and privacy. Migration assistant, not now. You can sign in with your Apple ID if you want, but I'm just going to set up later. Accept the terms and conditions. Agree. Now fill in with your informations. And then continue. Continue with location services. You can enable location if you want, but I don't really mind. Select your time zone and then continue. I'm just going to disable Siri and then continue. Now choose your theme, whether you're going with the dark theme or the light mode. So continue. And here we go. We have a fully functioning Mac OS. Now you can sign in with your Apple ID and use it like every other Mac. This is a full Ventura Hackintosh on a $100 PC. But we are not done yet. The EFI file is still on the USB drive we used to install. So we have to copy the EFI file so we don't need the USB to boot into our machine. Okay, so after the installation, we need ESP Mounter Pro, OpenCore configurator, and the EFI file we downloaded earlier. So open applications and then drag ESP Mounter Pro there. Also drag OpenCore configurator there, and we can run ESP Mounter Pro. So just double click on ESP Mounter Pro to run. Now you can see this program can't be opened, and that is due to privacy in our settings. So we have to head to our settings. Now click on privacy and security and then scroll down. Click on open anyway and then enter your password to run ESP Mounter Pro. Okay, open. Confirm again, enter your password. Install. So ESP Mounter Pro has been successfully installed. Now we have to open it. So click on the icon at the top of the screen and then click on show all and it should show all the drives on this PC. Now we have to locate the EFI partition for your drive. In your case, it may be showing just one drive, but since I have multiple drives on my PC, that is why lots of these are showing. Your EFI partition will bear the name EFI. So this is the EFI partition on my drive. So click on mount and then click on open volume, and it is going to open the EFI partition. Now all you need to do is delete this EFI folder and then drag the new EFI folder and drop there. Now in my case, I'm not going to do that since I have Windows running. So I'm going to open the EFI folder and then drop the EFI there. But in your case, you just have to delete the old EFI folder and then drop the new EFI folder, and that is all. You can disconnect the USB and then boot into macOS without any issue. So we can just restart. Now log in with your password. If this was helpful, kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on your post notification. If you have any other question or you are unable to install, don't forget to use the comment section. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.